Here's just a recording of my first experience of night riding, night rider, and a sporty night riding. So the only time I've done night riding before was when I was just kind of learning on my 125 and through the city. And I think the city is fairly easy to do night riding. All the lights, as you can see in this bit here, the lights make it nice and easy to see where you're going. All the road is lit up, but there was quite an experience going with an experienced rider who made everything look so easy, but yet for me I felt I was going so fast. Going with an experienced rider and just trying to keep up with them in night on roads which I didn't quite know very well was just what a thrilling experience to describe it. So although when I got home I couldn't actually get to sleep for a while because I was so buzzed, the adrenaline was still running through me, night riding was scary, fun, exhilarating, and something I want to do all the time. So coming into the darker nights, I'm like, I love this, but you've got to be on your ball. There's no slacking on it. You never want to do it when you're tired. You want to be like fully pumped for this. So I was going out with an experienced rider. He's been riding for decades and decades, and he's on a Honda Honda Blackbird, a 1998 Honda Blackbird. And he makes it look so easy. Meanwhile, I'm behind him thinking, screaming engines! Ah! Absolutely pegging it. And so there's quite a few things I learnt on my first night of doing night riding. At this point here, everything's normal. You know, we're under all the lights. It's not totally nighttime. There's still a bit of blueness in the sky. The road's clear. Everything's good. It's a little bit windy. And what I can definitely say on the Honda CB1000R is motorway stuff is actually my most is the most scary part for me. That kind of constant 70, 80 miles an hour where you're just so, like here I wee bit go a wee bit too wide on that bit. So yeah, that was a bit of a code brown there. Staying at just that that constant high speed, and then you're just kind of so much more of a victim to the elements, to the wind, to changes in the road, to other cars passing you, to drafts from lorries or cars or anything like that. That motorway riding, even though some people can go very fast on a motorway, certainly on this bike, a naked bike, is the most unnerving part of riding the motorbike. I would much rather never hit a motorway, and even just doing normal motorway speeds. So I'm not talking about going fast or anything. I'm just like, motorway speeds is just not fun on a motorbike. The fast accelerations in little roads, yeah, that's great fun. Motorway, you think I'm just going straight, and then you feel a gust of wind from the left. You're like, it totally unnerves me. So not a massive fan of motorway. I think on the way back when it was really dark and some of the lights of the car are blinding, it's just not enjoyable at all. That's definitely the least enjoyable part of any motorcycle ride that I've been having. So one thing that I did experience was if you're doing night riding, your visor of your helmet, you want that to be clean and non-smudgy, because all the car lights that are coming towards you really reflect off of your visor. And if it's cold and your visor steams up, it just becomes a massive blurry mess that you're looking through. So there's quite a lot of times where you'll see me flicking my visor up just to crack the just let a little bit of air in, just to get away, because every time because here my heart rate was high. I was at 120, 130 beats a minute, usually on the motorway stuff. So my heart rate's high. Every time you slow down for a junction, it very quickly steams up, and when all the car lights are on, and also even not just car lights, but also the street lights or the road lights, there's cool kind of reflections that come from above and behind and over your head, so it can be quite distracting, which certainly for my first time riding at night was kind of a new experience, and also more first time riding at night at speed was a new experience going there. Additionally, the amount of videos I've watched by Dan the fireman where it's literally people on the motorway doing nothing and then suddenly they get the death wobble, has just put the fear in me. All his videos just, there's so many people just crashing for doing almost absolutely nothing. Well, there's granted lots of people crashing for being absolute idiots as well, but there's some where they're just suddenly they get death wobble, or the wheel just skids out below them, or there might have been a divot in the road or something. That I have his videos in my head the whole time riding. I'm just thinking, oh, I'm doing 80 miles an hour is death speed on a motorbike. If something were to happen and I would come off, you're dead. It's just straight away. Like that's what I'm thinking about. Like when I'm doing this, not so much when I'm in the kind of countryside and going around the corners, but on the motorway for me is just visualizations of me suddenly getting a death wobble or hitting a hole in the ground, spinning off, going into the central reservation and instantly being dead. So that's what I'm thinking. So here, yeah, the rider in front of me that I'm following, how he makes going around the corners that easy. He maybe it's just a visual sort of thing, because I'm looking at him, I'm thinking it looks like he's pottering around on a little kind of scooter. It makes it look so easy. Meanwhile, for me, I'm just like, rah, you know, really revving the tits off the bike. And again, coming to these bigger junctions, absolutely fine. So many lights, so many reflections, very clear road markings, and all that kind of stuff. So motorway junctions, fine. Motorway speed, not so fine. So here I'm taking off from another part of town near Hill End, the ski area, and again, when cars are going slow, nighttime is actually quite great. It's quite cool at nighttime. Things are lit up, nice reflections. The cars are I would say more visible because their lights are on. Their brake lights are more visible. So riding at night, certainly in the city in brighter areas, absolutely fine, not a problem. After this bit, we go off down to an area, Pennycook direction, and it becomes very quickly dark. And this is where the adrenaline really kicks in, because there's a car in front. We're thinking, it's like, okay, it's going pretty tame. And also, once just in the dark, the road surface, you're really relying on your bike lights as well. It's nighttime. And you can see it's getting a little bit darker, and then that was the last road light here. So having a car behind you is quite nice, because their lights usually light up a bit of the road around you. And having cars in front of you are very good, because then you can see where the actual road goes. Otherwise, you're just using your own lights. And certainly when you're going at speed, accelerating and decelerating, your lights really change their height, their position on the road, which is a massive scary bit. Whenever you're coming to a corner, you suddenly decelerate, your light suddenly goes down the way, and you're like, oh, I can't see the rest of the corner. Is definitely, and also you have to be so on the ball here. It's amazing, because you're looking where you're going, you're watching the car and rider in front of you in case they're braking, their directions, their speed, also monitoring the road surface conditions, watching out for wet bits, for any potholes, for any cracks, for any divots that your bike might wobble over. And then also worrying about if there's a car tailgating you as well. And at the same time dealing with the sound of your engine, your gear changes, the wind in your helmet, your engine noise in case anything, because I've recently had my I get a false neutral, so that's given me a bit of a fear as well. It's just, there's so many things that you're having to deal with in your head. And also then there's temperature, if you're getting hot or if you're getting cold, in this case getting a little bit chilly, and just the wind hitting your body. It's just such an experience. So here, coming to another big roundabout, again the rider in front of me easily takes a line. Maybe his more sporty bike is better for taking the line here, but I end up cutting the corner here. I am checking over my shoulder that there's no car taking me up on the inside, but I just wasn't confident going around that outside lane, partly because of that car on the left as well. So I cross over lanes here. Again, bikes can go in the bus lane around here. And just trying to keep up with somebody who makes it look like he's not even accelerating was quite an experience. So again, getting a lot darker now. going through towns, keeping it nice in 20, 30 miles an hour, because that's where people will be out walking their dog. It's not that late, it's only about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So people will be walking their dogs, maybe even just going out for a walk at night. So through the towns, always keeping it super chill. And as you can see there, tractors coming towards you. The light coming straight at you is absolutely blinding. And you can't see beyond it, so you don't know if it's just coming around a corner, and you can't see the road in front of you. It's a super sketchy time when there's cars coming towards you, especially bigger cars, because their lights are a lot higher up. And there's no other street lights, so that's definitely experience. Also, as a rear rider at the rear, I never went on full beam until later on when I'm going home. I said to the guys, like, I'll go first, you try and catch up, and he caught up with me in about 3 seconds. Again, I had my heart rate up at 130 beats a minute. He was like pottering along like it was a quiet Sunday ride. And yeah, so when you're going along here, having the rider in front of you is good, because you can see, okay, that's where the road's going. It's still straight, because your bike lights don't show you that far ahead. Certainly at the speed that you're going, and how much whenever you slam on the brakes, how much the light suddenly dips. So other vehicles on the road is great. Overtaking other vehicles on the road is terrifying. And yeah, just constantly trying to also look closely at the road surface for any damp, wetness. Again, if it's a cold night, tyres aren't very grippy or anything like that, you want to make sure that mechanically everything is spot on. Or at least I did. And then, again, junctions, absolutely fine. It's just like riding during the daytime. There's almost nothing of difficulty here at night time. Again, the only thing would be a slight glare and interesting shadows. Check the shadows down to the left there as they pass by. But yeah, for me, this felt like I was absolutely going at warp speed for this. Warp speed on a road I don't know very well, in the dark, in conditions which I don't know whether it's going to be damp or not. And not knowing where corners are, not being able to see very far. It's just, I survived it. It felt great. It was so much fun. But yeah, very difficult to sleep when I got home because it's still buzzing. So here, I'm taking the lead. I'm on my way home. I think I've gone full beam here, and even full beam, you don't get a huge amount of light going forward. So as you can see, I would say the GoPro that I'm using has pretty much done a good job of seeing seeing what my eyes saw. That's the moon, the big dot in the screen. That's the moon up there. And where I thought, okay, that's a good bit road, I'll go straight. I can see a car coming towards me from the left, forward left. I'm like, but every dip and crest, as your bike goes up and over, suddenly the amount of road you can see is just nothing. And then suddenly it goes up really high, and then it's really dim. So it's either really bright close up or really dim everywhere. And then if a car's coming towards you here, it took its full beam off there, so that was a little bit better. And the road was a little bit wet here, so it's just sketchy as anything. It was so cool. So yeah, you can see definitely on the road. So that becomes another interesting thing. On wet road, there's then additional reflection up the way as well. So all the lights are bouncing off any damp or wet road. Car lights are bouncing off the damp and wet road as well. And you just got to take that into consideration as well, just how blinding. And then also your visor might be a bit damp and wet, so you've got a blurry vision of right from your visor. So yeah, it's doing this looks impressive. Doing it when you can barely see is mental. This is so cool. Can't see anything. Oh, there I found my full beam. The full beam button on the Honda CBR is very intuitive to use. It's just a flick of your index finger, and you've got it. So trying to get up to the speed limit here, and again, when the road starts bouncy, and then that car coming towards me, suddenly I'm blinded, and I can't see if that car is definitely in its lane. It could be in my lane. It could be going fast. Could be going slow. It's very hard to judge distance and speed and direction and everything at night time. And so Again, lots of road signs, that helps. So that bit back there was saying slow, I'm guessing because there's a corner coming up, so I'm trying to chill here. You can see the road's turning off to the left, the vanishing point turns off to the left, and the vanishing point is so much more vanish when there is such a limited view from the lights that you get. So here I'm thinking, oh, this is quite good. You can see through the tree. So yeah, and even more so when you're looking through trees, because the trees make it dark, and trees can also leave lots of like plant juice on the ground that can make that bit slippy as well. So there's just so many things that you need to take into, or at least I needed to take into consideration, certainly my first time. None of it was automatic. So like riding now throughout the day, a lot of the sensory overload that I got when I was learning how to ride my bike has calmed down. So whenever I was riding when I started, it's like the sound of the engine, the sound of the tires, the feeling of the engine, the suspension, the bumps, the wind noise, the smells. That was another thing, just like smelling like everywhere you went. It was like, is that my clutch burning? Is that my engine burning? Is that my trousers burning against my hot engine? Is that fuel not coming out right? Is that actually just the bin lorry in front of me? Have I just pooed myself? So many things that just the sense of smell is overloading your brain whenever you're riding it, through all these different areas. At night time, it was cold. There was this area there wasn't too much wind. It was more when you're on the motorway you notice the wind. But here there's just so many sensory things that are coming in that is a bit of an overload for my first time. And again, just trying to keep ahead of the more experienced rider behind me. And as you can see here, as road gets rough there, and just thinking anytime there's a rough road, braking will be so much more sketchy. A rough road and a corner, very sketchy braking, very difficult to control the bike, I would imagine, so you want to take it pretty easy and chill. And just know that your tyres are good as well at that, and that your chain's not going to slip off, you're not going to get a false neutral and be coasting. Oh, just so many things. But it's when I got back home, I was thinking, any roller coaster I go on in the future, I'll just be sitting there with a mild smile on my face. The most insane roller coaster in the world is nothing compared to a spirited night ride in the damp in Scotland, in the dark, in the countryside. It's either something which you go, that is so much fun, that was an experience, or you go, that was terrifying, I never want to do it again. And at the moment, I'm at the case of, I'm really kind of halfway in between, kind of going, that was fun, and also I think the motorway is the most terrifying bit for me. This bit is the fun bit, because I'm happy to slow down for speed, because I'm fairly confident in the bike, because I thought the roads were fairly dry and grippy. I wasn't too nervous. Motorway stuff is where I'm probably definitely much more nervous. I'd imagine more people are nervous of this kind of road because of the lack of view, but I'm confident in my brakes, I'm confident in the bike mostly, and I'm confident that I'm not going to be going too fast around any corners that I can't see. I was confident that I was awake and alert enough to do this riding of the day. Again, possibly not so confident of the other road users, so the cars that are coming towards me, if they're definitely, not heading home after a long day's work and, getting a bit dozy behind the wheel. But again, with these roads, there's less likely people to be on their mobile phone. So, in the city, a lot of people will just be in traffic, being dozy behind the wheel, and there's more danger of negligent drivers. Out on these roads, I suspect that the drivers are less negligent. However, I suspect there may be a larger danger of dangerous drivers that are going out and absolutely razzing their cars around corners at night time. So there's give and takes there. There's one which you get a little bump, and the other one where you get completely killed. So yeah, just it's all kind of how you take that in, whether you take that in as going, that was. I think what I want to do next time it is dry, and it's dark, and it's not windy, and it doesn't look like it's going to go rain. I'm quite happy to go out and do some of this. I think more by myself, actually. So what I found was, with riding with somebody else of much more experience, there was a bit of what's known as target fixation, of trying to keep up with that other person, or you end up just looking at that other person so much that you're not looking necessarily at the road and the road surface. So solo riding, I'm able to concentrate more on myself and less about the distance between me and the bike in front. Are they braking? Are they accelerating? What kind of surface are they going over? I'm looking more at what I'm about to go over for solo riding. So I quite like being at the front, not necessarily either feeling left behind, not being fast enough. I think so far. It's only my first real experience of nighttime riding with fellow riders here, especially on the road, which I didn't know very well. So yeah, coming up to junctions, yeah, it's good if you do it on a road that you know. If you do it on a road that you don't know, you definitely want to be a lot more chill. I've done this road a few times in my car, so I know it not too badly, but there's definitely an aspect of I would need to ride it more to really be confident of it. But yeah, I have like the music from Tron in my head whenever you're doing it through the city, through the lights, and you've got these cool shadows. I love those shadows underneath, whizzing past me. It's like, I just think that is my favourite thing of riding at night. Those shadows down, whiz past. That's so cool. I love that. So yeah, riding in large cities with city lights, very cool. Motorway riding, not so much fun. Country riding is like the most wild roller coaster you've ever been on. With a wild roller coaster from a horror film where you can't see where you're going. Every time you accelerate or brake, you lose distance of what you're going to do. It's just mental. So here I let the other rider go in front of me here. Well, I wave him on. I tell him to get ahead, and then I was like, right, cool, because I didn't know quite which junction I needed to take off at this bit, and so I followed him here, and there's just not a chance of keeping up with him. Maybe it's because my bike also screams, so it's got a greater sensation of speed. But there's also the wind noise, which really made me feel like, yeah, I'm going fast, but here it's like, I'm not doing the national speed limit, and it still feels like I'm going absolutely mental. And here I've just lost him. Well, not so much lost him, he just casually accelerated away, and I tried to keep up. And I just couldn't. It was just like, he was going so fast. But at the same time, he didn't look like he was going fast. It was just like he was on a magic carpet that just whisked him away. And I was just like, I can't keep up with you. This is mental. But yeah, these back roads back to Hill End. Again, probably just more because this is closer to where people would be living. There's also the danger of, like on the way here, we saw a dog walker. So there could always be a dog walker crossing the road, or a dog, or animals as well. But yeah, well done GoPro on my chest mounted strap for capturing this video footage. I was quite impressed with that. But yeah, night riding, I love it. Need to do some more.